We can't say the future without AI. I mean, there's no way around it. 50% of workers now believe AI is going to improve their experience. When I come into the meeting room, I need a way to incorporate my AI with what's going on in the meeting. It's almost a bring your own AI type of a concept. Most of what we do in our day-to-day is going to change significantly.
Hear the latest AV trends and predictions in this episode of Crestron's Smarter Spaces podcast on your preferred podcast platform.
On this episode of ResiWeek, we talk Samsung AI for all, Airzone's Auto Pro, and LG's new OLEDs. All this and more on this episode of ResiWeek. This is ResiWeek, episode 414, HVAC Interoperability. Welcome to this episode of ResiWeek. This is your weekly roundup of all the latest news and stories for the residential AV industry. I'm your host, Matthew Scott for AVNation.tv. And this week we are pleased to be joined by Victoria Garcia Massimo. She's the operations manager for the Americas with Airzone. How you doing, Victoria?
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here. Then we have my favorite Florida man, Mr. Seth Johnson. He's the software development manager over at Blackwire Design. How you doing, Seth?
Doing great. Great to be back.
Hey, thanks also for being here. We are going to jump right in with a bunch of coverage out of CES because that just completed last week. And this first story comes to us from Residential Systems. Samsung promises AI for all. They're delivering a vision to bring AI to everything through its products, collaborative efforts, and partnerships during their massive presser at CES 2024 in Las Vegas. Their vice chairman and CEO of their device experience division says that the connected world is about to become even better because AI has the power to make life easier and more inclusive for all with smarter, better experiences that redefine how we live. Victoria, let me start with you on this. They're obviously making a huge push, as just about every other tech company is, into AI. What actual functionality do you expect to see out of Samsung's move into this with the variety of products that they, have in the typical home?
It's a very interesting question. So I was there actually. I was able to see the Samsung booth last week in CES, and especially the Smart Things area. That was very interesting. A lot of partners were showcased, being Airzone one of those as well. And it's going to be interesting. I think they will have to rely a lot on their partners, even though Samsung has a lot of products to offer. They don't have it all, right? And we already have an issue on, okay, if my whatever is this manufacturer, then my TV is another one, they cannot connect. So they're, through the Smart Things, and they're trying to solve that problem and allowing the consumer to be able to work with several different gadgets and things they have at their home, being the biggest ones, like the refrigerators and other stuff. Samsung, which is what they're looking for, the TVs. But in general, I was very surprised about all these different options that they're offering for the future, such as Bali, which was this ball for different stuff related to AI as well, and helping the consumer doing different stuff, from working out and projecting movies, TV, from calling if there's an emergency, those type of things, in which AI is very widely needed, right? I was also surprised about their elderly and pet care that they were showcasing, which is also using a lot of AI. For example, in the elderly side, they were talking about, well, we will be able to call the 911. We'll be able to call any relative if the person falls, for example, also related to the AI. So in general, I think that it's interesting. They're investing a lot in this. We will, of course, start to see like some of this will work, some others won't. I actually would like to see if most of what they were showcasing is going to be available, because most of them are just prototypes. But in general, of course, what they're doing and how they are using the AI to offer different variety of products for different applications and also for different age levels is super interesting.
Yeah, that's very good. Seth, how does this move and push into AI? How does this affect how we as a CI channel integrate with Samsung devices? Do you expect to see the majority of these kind of AI pushes to be walled off from us? Or do you think we will actually have an opportunity to utilize or leverage any of this in the way we approach?
Well, it depends on what you're talking about, because I think we're going to see, like, some of the things you can see are the AI devices and chipsets that they're building into the TVs, for example. I mean, everybody seems to have been doing that for the last couple of years. And they're using it for smart upscaling of content. Or if you get like a fuzzy thing coming in from the cable company, maybe it'll be able to clean it up a little bit and render something that wasn't received, but kind of gets it in the ballpark, and at least for a few frames can fool your eye until the signal comes back. That's great. Those kind of things I think we will see. As far as like the traditional integrator goes, I don't know if you will see very much of the other stuff, because it may be done behind the scenes or solely within the silos of Samsung, right? They're a very large company. I mean, they cover tons and tons of verticals that we don't even get involved with. But they have everything out there, from large equipment to refrigerators to the white goods washing machines to their own smart home application platform, smart things. And being at that level, they can do all sorts of stuff in between those divisions of their company. But I don't think that we see that as a benefit, I guess, that comes down to how we integrate traditionally with our standard products that we may have, Crestron, Control4, URC. We may not see the benefits coming off of those products in the way of like APIs or integrations. You may need to use all Samsung products before you see those benefits.
Do you think that the industry will chase that?
I'm not sure. I say that because like energy seems, at least in the Americas here, energy seems to be a fairly like low profile, or I don't know. There's some regions in America where energy matters, and Florida is not one of them. But we have a lot of like
energy
reason
issues
to do solo. Yeah, well, we don't have energy issues. Like we have very cheap, inexpensive energy here, and like if you talk to people about doing dashboards and that kind of thing, it's like, yeah, do that, or I will just do the solar thing and set that up and get free electricity, and they'll go that direction. But if you go to like Europe, they have energy challenges. They have demand response all the time. Australia, overseas, typically has more need for these types of things, where products and pieces around the home, from your TV to your refrigerator to whatever, could use some kind of central brain or AI to figure out, oh, right now is not the best time to turn on the dryer. Maybe we should wait, I don't know, 30 minutes, or at least prompt the user and say, hey, in 30 minutes from now, it's gonna be a lot cheaper to run this dryer. Why don't you wait? And that kind of stuff is really cool. But it's got to be done, or for Samsung and a lot of the vendors out there, it's going to be done at their company level within their ecosystem before it branches out to something like us. But I mean, unfortunately, I think like energy usage here in the United States, to my experience, has not gone the direction as like I see other people get really excited about overseas and in other markets. There's a lot more push for energy efficiency monitoring, collection of data, and that kind of thing from overseas than there is here.
Hello, this is Steve Greenblatt, host of AVNation's A State of Control podcast. Each month, Rich Fregosa and I explore trending topics related to control programming and automation in the audiovisual industry. We speak with a variety of AV professionals who share their perspectives, knowledge, and experiences. Please join us for this monthly conversation. Check out A State of Control on avnation.tv or wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, that's a great point. All right, let's change topics for a second. This comes to us from CE Pro. Airzone just made it easier to integrate popular HVAC units onto Google Nest thermostats. The Airzone ADO Pro integrates with the full portfolio of Nest T-Stats, giving interoperability between those smart thermostats and inverter VRFs, as well as popular mini split HVAC systems. Victoria, I'm going to start with you on this one as well. This has become a really big deal the last couple of years as mini splits have dramatically increased in popularity in North America. I know that they've been kind of the de facto standard in Europe for quite a while, but I know even in our own business, we're just starting to see mini splits and the desire to control those mini splits on a system becoming a significantly bigger part of our business. What exactly does this product do, and how does this really help tie all of those HVAC systems back into the Nest ecosystem?
Matt, so going back to the previous question, right? We were talking about interoperability, right? So imagine now you have your smart home. It doesn't matter if it's like the very high-end type of a system you got, like a Lutron, Crestron, or just do it yourself at home with a Alexa or Google Home. And you can control most of it, but you cannot control your AC. And the AC counts for 30, sometimes 40, sometimes even 50% of the electricity bill in an office, residential, commercial installation in general. So it's extremely important to be able to control the HVAC. What happens with Nest, with the smart thermostats and the mini splits, the inverters, the VRFs? They don't speak the same language. So these smart thermostats, they run out of dry contacts. These type of units, they do not have dry contacts. They work under their own protocol, the proprietary protocol. They're all different. So Mitsubishi, Daikin, Samsung, LG, you name it, are totally different. And Airzone has created this relationship with all these manufacturers, VRF inverters and mini split manufacturers, that allow us to have access to their protocols. So we created a device called IDO Pro, and inside the IDO is the manufacturer protocol and a communication with the smart thermostat. So basically, we are a bridge or a device in the middle to allow these type of units, AC units, to connect to the smart thermostats. So now it is able, we are able to control the mini split, the inverter, or the VRF unit with a Nest thermostat. Very important to mention, we don't lose any features of these units. So these units are way more efficient than regular units that the Nest connect to. 30, 40, 50% more efficient. And by using IDO in the middle of this integration, we won't lose any of the inverter features. Why? Because IDO will translate and tell the unit exactly what to do and to go to the exact temperature that we need. And on the other side of the equation, if we want to now connect our Nest to a home automation, to Alexa, to Google Home, or even to Net in case of a commercial application, we can also do it with IDO. So we were discussing at the very beginning before we started the podcast that for Nest it wasn't an issue at all because they controlled over 90% of the market, but now it is. So we're starting to see a huge increase in the sales of the inverters, the VRFs, the mini splits, the consumers becoming more conscious. The government is actually pushing for these type of units as they are more efficient, and we need to free the grid a little bit, right, with the electric vehicles and all this stuff. And now they have a way to connect to these type of units, which is by using Airzone. So we're very pleased and proud to be part of this, and also to partner with such an important company as Google is.
Yeah, it's super cool. Seth, when you see this, as I kind of alluded to in my question to Victoria, we're just starting to see up here. I'll preface that with up here, mini splits becoming used a whole lot more frequently. But typically they've been being used in, kind of like auxiliary rooms, right? You'll see one in a garage, or you'll see one in an addition where they couldn't get ductwork. Yeah, just like you. But I know that is becoming kind of the exception opposed to the norm, and they're being used in more places. Has this been a bit of a holdback in the usage of mini splits, the fact that they've been harder to control with, anything other than the proprietary systems?
I don't think so, because most of the time you could integrate them with IR, and I'm not sure. It seems like I this is one of the things when Victoria's talking, I'm like, I have to ask: is it IR, or are you directly connecting with wire?
No, we connect with a wire. We do have the protocol. It's not IR.
Love it.
So you really don't need the remote anymore.
Yeah. So that's problematic. I mean, it's IR. Yeah. But you could connect that way, and you can control things that way, and that's how most products that do exist in this space, at least that we can integrate with, will operate. They'll use the IR control to reach out and integrate with the system that way. It's one way. You never know if the thing's on or off. Yeah. All the issues you have with IR. But one thing that is nice about these systems, I think it's probably more of an availability and acceptance, at least here in the States, from the HVAC installers, not so much an integrator. Whenever I saw these systems installed, where they were installed? They were installed in like the server room I was in. Yeah. that's where I'd see a mini split, so we could get that thing down and chilled down so we can cool off the amplifiers and they weren't overheating. But everywhere else, now I'm starting to see them installed in garages, or, in the traditional Florida room now to get that room more comfortable during the summer. I feel like it's just more of an education part or an availability for the HVAC installers than it is for us, because we've always been able to integrate, control, or otherwise utilize these systems in whatever way we could in the past. It's just now, this is brilliant. Like having an option to do two-way integration with it. That's amazing, because it's not. I mean, this doesn't just integrate with Nest. You guys integrate with just about everything else. So That's great.
All right, let's move on to our last story of the day. This comes to us from CE Pro. LG Display is bringing or brought a large size gaming and automotive OLED solutions to CES. In addition to that, they also showed a variety of next-gen versions with proprietary meta technology, again at CES. Seth, let me start with you on this. LG's been known for, since they started in the OLED game, kind of as the leaders of this. What did you see coming out of this with their next generation platform of panels that got you excited or frustrated, I guess? And what's your take on their meta tech?
I mean, the thing that got me frustrated about their announcement was that the huge thing everybody was oohing and ahhing about was the quote wireless transparent TV that has wireless HDMI. Thanks. I'm sure that's going to be fun to work with. But it seemed like just a gimmick. I don't know who would install that in their house, but somebody will. Yeah, whatever. But I think kind of like the biggest announcement from LG, and I think it's kind of gone under the radar, seems to be this like a subscriptions. They want to offer subscriptions for appliances and TVs. So instead of going and outright buying your TV or your washer dryer, they're going to set it up as an appliance as a service company. And I that was in their keynote. Like it would be interesting to lease to own or lease a OLED TV in the future. I mean, you get a high quality TV out of it, and LG comes along and we'll lease it to you, I guess. It seems like an interesting business proposal.
We've talked about this in the past. Not you and I, but Henry Clifford and I have talked quite a few times about the possibility of moving into a leasing option, especially for
technology,
for technology that changes, right, and evolves quickly, like displays, where again, what do you do? The question has always been, if you were going to lease that for 2 years and then upgrade,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What happens with those displays?
The e-waste, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the e-waste is massive. Victoria, how close are we to the point to OLED being not a super luxury option? Are we getting to that point?
I don't think so. Yeah, what I've seen at CES, what I've seen at CEDIA. Well, I know CEDIA is a show focused more on the high-end type of home. No, I don't think so. I think that all these amazing new inventions are like, you go and you ask, how much is this TV, which is wonderful, and it's like $100,000. I'm like, okay, who can pay for that, right? Not even 1% of the population can do it. So, and also, is there enough like repertoire of videos for that type of TV? So they should start looking at making this more available and massive for the consumer, because really we haven't seen a lot of improvements or changes, especially on the TVs lately in the past few years from manufacturers. So they're focusing on these amazing technologies, but they're extremely expensive. So yeah, how many of these they really sell a year, right?
Doesn't Sony like benefit a little bit here too? Because aren't they like the Sony panels come from LG? That's just different processors or whatever. So like that'll be nice. Is like these panels that they're selling and they have these features and specs will appear across 2 different brands. So
let me ask either of you, both of you, do you expect to see because we had a moment where OLED was kind of top of the hill for large format residential displays. The last year and a half, almost all the talk for large format has been direct view LED, and OLED has kind of got overlooked, right? Do you think that this new generation from LG is going to kind of flip that script a little bit again? Or do you think it's still going to be that, yes, you can buy an OLED and you can buy a large format, but if you really want performance, you're going to buy direct view?
It's a weird place to be. I mean, because OLED's kind of like the newer-ish technology. If I would say, okay, LED and OLED, put them next to each other and squint real hard. Like OLED is the newer version. That's always going to be a little bit either behind a spec or not meeting the same, like not apples to apples.
Yeah.
So there may be things that it does better and some things that it does worse, including price, like it could be along those lines. But I as far as like advancements goes, I'm shocked that they have been able to get the lifetime that they have out of both these technologies. I mean, we seem to be stuck with whatever they are. There's been no, like Victoria's saying, there's been no display revolutions over the past couple of years. Like it seemed like when I started, it was everybody had to have a DLP, then it went to plasma, then LED. Now it's a competition, I guess, between OLED and the LED again. So it's like, I don't know. It's going to come down to, whatever the consumer sees as being or perceives as being a better system, I guess.
Yeah, it's a great take. All right, let's wrap it there. Thank you both so much for joining us. Seth, if people want to connect with you, learn more about Blackwire Design, where can they do that?
You can check us out over at blackwiredesigns.com, where we have a bunch of new stuff posted on there, including our LED design tool. Everybody check that out. If you're designing linear lights, check it out. We'll also be at Lightapalooza. So if you haven't seen it yet, I'll be there showing it off and having to train people on it. So yeah, that'll be fun.
Don't sound so excited.
It's so exciting.
Victoria, thank you as well for joining us. If people want to connect with you, learn more about Airzone, where can they do that?
Airzonecontrol.com. That's the best way. And thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Always. Not a problem. Thank you for joining us as well. If you'd like to connect with me, you can find me on Twitter or X at Matt D. Scott and most other social platforms. But more importantly, please visit AVNation.tv, where you'll find this show as well as a wide variety of other shows with all the verticals that we cover. When you visit the website, please take a moment to check out our supporters. We are extremely thankful for their support and ask that you check them out as well. Thanks again for watching. That's all the time we have for this episode of ResiWeek.
the network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.